Buenos dias. Alright, so today we have a few things going on. First off, I have a call. I do a weekly call with some friends where we just talk about our week and do some journaling together. My friend Lillian calls it parallel play, which I love. Next, I have to do some writing for the newsletter, which is coming out soon, and it'll probably be out by the time this video is out, so I'll leave it linked below. And I have to book an appointment with my accountant, book my next flight. I am currently in Puerto Rico. I was in Guatemala last week. What is my life? And I am planning on going to Argentina next, so kind of in the works. Gotta get that sorted out today. What else? Ooh, I have a call with my therapist, super important. And then I am working on this ebook. It's called the Freelance Freedom ebook. It's incredible. I've already written out the content. I just have to finish designing it and putting it out. But essentially, yeah, it teaches people how to become a freelancer from start to finish, even if it's just a side hustle or if you want to do this full time, because freelancing is what's allowing me to travel right now and like live out my biggest dreams. So yeah, I'm writing an ebook teaching people how to do just that. And then if I have time, I do have to catch up on some client work. That's really work that's already been done. I just have to transfer some of that work into just like a different platform for them to be able to access. But that's kind of last on my priority list. I don't know if I'll have time for that because really I can work on that in the upcoming days or maybe next week. And then I need some coffee. I desperately need some coffee, so come with. Okay, we are going to make coffee, and I love using La Greca. We call it La Greca, pero you know, people call it different things. It's basically a mocha cup, and I thought I would just show you how it's done. So you have the bottom piece, you put water inside. Right? And then you take this piece, put it on top. Cafecito, and then we put the lid on top. That's it. And this is what it looks like. I'm going to pour it into this gorgeous mug that I got in Peru. Look how beautiful. Look at the details of the Andes Mountains in the back. Machu Picchu. We have llamas and everything. I love this mug, it's hand painted. And the way that I've been drinking it lately, my whole life I've drank café con leche. But lately I'm just like liking espresso. And if it's a little too strong, I'll put a tiny bit of water in there with azúcar. Good to go. Hello, lady. Oh. All right, so I am just about done with writing this essay. It's already written, I just need to edit it. It's titled You Can't Run Away From Yourself, which is probably gonna be the same title of this video. And it was inspired by the Bob Marley song called Running Away. It was just sitting in the back of my head. I was gonna write something completely different this week, but this past weekend, girl, so many triggers, so many childhood triggers just coming to the surface. We are in eclipse season. I got my period at the beginning of the weekend. I had a lot of childhood confrontation because I went to this wedding where I was seeing a lot of people from the past, right? Venus is in retrograde, friggin' Mercury's in retrograde, and honestly, this weekend was just absolutely triggering as a yeah. So the things that I originally wanted to talk about, I just feel like energetically I'm not in the space to speak on that. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about it next week because I have so much juicy content. And so I was really contemplating this past week of all the traveling I've been doing, questioning, am I running towards myself or am I running away from myself? Like, is this self-discovery process really trying to be more and more in alignment with my authenticity, or am I just running away from the things that I don't want to face? And in all honesty, writing this essay, I've realized a little bit of both. I've been doing a little bit of both. So yeah, this essay has been really interesting. I've just been journaling and researching how does one even know the difference between when you're running away versus running towards. And yeah, it's turning out really great. It's actually, when I write, it's also a lesson for myself. It's also a process of self-reflection. But anyway, I'm going to go outside, bring my coffee with me, and share with you guys some of the lessons that I've uncovered as I've been putting together this essay so that you understand fully that you can't run away from yourself, but you can absolutely run towards yourself and how to spot the difference. Today's episode is titled, You Can't Run Away from Yourself. I've just been pondering so much on all of the traveling that I've been doing, and I couldn't help but wonder, am I running towards myself or am I running away from myself? Am I moving towards this path of self-discovery where I get to connect with a new, deeper, more authentic version of self? Or am I just running away from the old me because I don't want to face my fears or like face all these triggers or whatever? So yeah, I really sat with this and I've been writing about this, I've been researching about this, and I decided to speak on this so that we can all kind of reflect on this subject. I also wrote an entire essay breaking down the difference between when you're running away from yourself versus when you're running towards yourself. So I'm going to discuss some of that today, but I'll also go ahead and leave the article links below in case you want to read it. So let's jump into the main differences between the two of them. When we are running away from ourselves, we are inherently avoiding truths, emotions, and wounds that feel too uncomfortable to face. It's like seeking an external change, whether it's a new place, a new relationship, a career, a distraction, in an attempt to escape the internal discomfort that lingers beneath the surface. And at its core, it really stems from fear of the past that might be resurfacing, fear of unworthiness, fear of confronting things that we might have buried. In my case, fear of abandonment is like a really big trigger that came up this past weekend because I have a lot of things from not only my childhood, but situations that have been reinforced in my adult life that this fear of abandonment is a very real thing that I'm still working on. And this weekend was just like all up in my face. And I felt like I did my best to handle it, but I could have done such a better job. And I'm granting myself some grace, but I don't feel good. I will say that. I don't feel great about how things went down, and I've been dreaming about it in my sleep. I've been thinking about it while I'm awake, and I'm in a much better place of like surrendering and kind of allowing things to unfold and like kind of loosening my grip on the control over whatever situation might have come up. But it's still a work in process, it's still a work in process. And so I created a list of little bullet points in case you're wondering, am I running away from myself in XYZ scenario of your life? And this is how you know if you're running away from yourself. Number one, you keep seeking external fixes for an internal problem. Whether it's moving to a new city, changing jobs, or entering a new relationship, it feels like a relief at first, but then the same struggles reappear. Now, it's important to note that sometimes changing and shedding skins and, crossing a border and having that movement, that motion is absolutely necessary. So, oftentimes, geography does play a really key role, especially for me, because remember that the soil in which you are planted in really dictates how nurtured your crop and your soul is going to be. So the soil plays a really big part in the nurturing of the person that you're becoming, right? But there's a difference between repotting and regrounding yourself in a new place that feels genuine and authentic versus just like trying to run away and trying to avoid. The next key element is that you feel restless or unfulfilled no matter where you go or what you achieve. And this is something that I have felt in my travels. And just FYI, in my travels, I've been doing both. I've noticed that I definitely am on this path of self-discovery, and that has always been my biggest intention with this. I haven't wanted to run away from anything, but in the process of traveling, especially for such a long period of time, I have realized that there are moments where I am running away. And in those moments, I take a pause and I choose to sit with the discomfort, kind of like what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm not running away from the situation, even though sometimes it's important to create space and to give other people space as well. But right now, I'm kind of sitting with my anxiety, doing a lot of grounding practices to try to kind of bring myself back down. But I'm sitting with it. I'm really just journaling, grounding, resetting my nervous system, all of that. The third key element to kind of pinpoint if you're running away from yourself or running towards yourself is that you rely on distractions to avoid deep self-reflection. Whether it's excessive work, it can be social media, it can be travel, substances, or even self-improvement obsessions, which I've certainly been guilty of. You use activity in order to avoid being alone with your thoughts. The next one is that the patterns repeat themselves in different forms. So the same conflicts continue to arise in relationships, in limiting beliefs that sabotage new opportunities, or the same doubts that are kind of whispering no matter how much you try to change your environment. You also feel that solitude sometimes becomes unbearable. When left alone with your thoughts, you experience discomfort rather than peace. And we've all been there, but there is a threshold, there is a moment where you do find peace and serenity in just being with yourself and you're not afraid to feel the feelings. When you're running away from those feelings, that's when you really have to take a deeper look and, like I said, just take a pause and kind of sit with them for a second. And then finally, you resist slowing down because there's a fear that if you stop moving, all those unresolved emotions will somehow catch up to you. So running away from yourself isn't always this super dramatic thing. It can be, but it sometimes is a lot more subtle than that. Things like staying busy, always looking ahead, avoiding stillness, and no matter how far or how fast you go, those unresolved parts of you remain just waiting to be seen. So we're constantly living in this illusion of escape, and it's really easy to mistake movement for evolution. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. It's easy to mistake movement for evolution. We convince ourselves that a different city, a new love, a fresh identity will erase everything that's unresolved. But the self is not something that we can abandon at an airport gate. This is something I've recently come to terms with. So now let's look at the other side of the spectrum. What does it look like when you're running towards yourself, when you're moving in the direction of authenticity and of a new, genuine version of self? Running towards yourself feels like you're coming home. It's less about geography and more about alignment. And like I mentioned, geography definitely plays a strong role because roots grow stronger in fertile soil. And it's up to each and every one of us to figure out which soil is the most nurturing for our evolution. But running towards yourself also means walking with your eyes wide open. And it's about coming to terms with the truth, lo bueno, lo malo, lo feo. And instead of relentlessly avoiding it, you sit with it. Sometimes truth is discomfort, other times truth is beauty, but more often than not, it's a dance between both. It's choosing presence over escape, depth over distraction, and courage over comfort. And it's standing still long enough to hear the whispers of your own soul. Here are some hints as to what it might look like when you are running towards yourself. You seek understanding, not escape. So instead of numbing the discomfort, you explore it with curiosity and you're constantly asking, what is this teaching me? You embrace stillness. You no longer fear solitude because you recognize that clarity comes from within. You recognize patterns and take ownership. Rather than blaming circumstances or people, you ask, what is this revealing about me? And then you commit to breaking the cycle. You prioritize depth over distraction. Whether it's in relationships, work, or personal growth, you choose what's meaningful over what's only stimulating. You trust your inner guidance because your decisions are based on intuition and self-alignment, not fear or external validation. Oh my God, that's a big one. That's a juicy one. And then finally, you lean into discomfort. You understand that real growth happens when you step into uncertainty rather than avoiding it. Running towards yourself doesn't mean having all the answers. It means choosing presence over avoidance, alignment over distraction, and self-honesty over self-deception. And frankly, the more you do that, the less you feel like you need to run at all. So I hope this introspection that we did together, because this is something as I'm writing and as I'm creating, it's also for my own introspection and for my own learning. I hope it was a blessing to you. And if it was, please feel free to share this with someone that you love. If you feel called to, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and give us a 5-star review over in any podcasting platform of your choice. And if you'd like to go deeper, I invite you to join me for our weekly live group coaching sessions. We do 2 of them alongside best-selling author Roberto Blake. He's incredible. And together, we teach you how to hone in on your creativity, become self-employed, and gain the freedom that you deserve by doing things that you love, which is exactly what I'm doing. I am currently traveling because my freelancing business allows me to. And this process, this traveling, this introspection and of running towards myself is what's allowed me to sit here with you today and have these conversations. If you want to go deeper, there's 2 more things I suggest. Number 2 is joining TBM. TBM is an incredible manifestation self-healing platform that I've been a member and a part of for a very, very long time. It's transformed my entire life. So I'm going to leave that linked below. Like I said, I myself am a paying member. I've been part of this membership for a really long time, and it's just done wonders for my life. So if you're interested on going deeper in your spiritual practices, then I'll leave that information below. And if you want to support my work, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel. I started it recently just to share authentic content from the heart. None of this algorithm bullshit. It's just really pure content that I feel is authentic, and I'm consciously keeping it as authentic as possible. So if you want to support my journey, that's a free way of doing that. And I will see everybody back here in the next one. Here's to your rising. Adios, amiga.